राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यः च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Thank you very much for your time and your attention. Because both of which, once you spend, you can never get that back. Right? You give someone your time, you can't ever get it back. You give someone your attention, never take it back. Because whatever you have given your attention to, or whoever you have given your attention to, remains in your consciousness permanently, practically, right? Okay. So, we are going to today discuss that, but first we are going to see who the six Goswamis are, how not to follow in the footsteps of the six Goswamis. Then we're going to talk about what it means to follow in their footsteps, and the song that we just sung together. So we are going to look at some points of those songs to get some hints on what we can do to follow, what is the effect of that following, and what is the final result. Now there are some descriptions of the ecstasies of the six Goswamis. That's going to be hard for us to follow in our current situation. But the fact is that the road is clear for all of us to actually reach there. So it's not like there's any barrier for us to do that. Okay. So we'll read from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. We can get that. So it's from the Madhya Lila. Veda-based but Ayo. Madhya Lila. We are going to look at chapter 9, verse number 289. Right? So it's Madhya Lila, chapter 9, verse number 289. Okay? So we sing for everything because through these little hymns or little lines, we imbibe the mood of that particular knowledge that we are trying to acquire, which is beyond intellectual understanding actually. Okay? So, what was the verse? 289. Verse number 289. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Okay, so this is a very beautiful text. In the Krishna consciousness movement, we have three main sets of scriptures. We have the Bhagavad Gita, which provides us basics. It's not something that ever leaves us because the Bhagavad Gita is the foundation for everything that we do. And then we have a more advanced study of the top subject matters of the Bhagavad Gita called the Srimad Bhagavatam. Yes, thank you. So we have the more advanced study of the Bhagavad Gita called the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Bhagavad Gita has 700 verses spoken by Sri Krishna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Then there are 18,000 verses in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which comes in an 18-volume book. And then to to deeply relish the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Chaitanya Charitamrita is an invaluable resource. So Srila Prabhupada has given us all three of these books, and there are many other books, but these are fundamental basic books that we spend our entire lifetime trying to study. Okay? So, so I'll read the verse. We won't do call and response right now. Okay? श्रीपाद धर मोरा गोसाईर संबंध कहा बिना अन्यत्र नाही ए प्रेमार गंध. So Shripad, O your holiness, Dhara, you hold, Mora, my, Gosaira, with Sri Madhavendra Puri, Sambandha, relationship, Tahavena, without him, Anyatra, elsewhere, Nahi, there is not, A, this, Premara, of ecstasy, Kanta, fragrance. Translation, your holiness is certainly related to Sri Madhavendra Puri, without whom there is no fragrance of ecstatic love. Okay? So this verse is being spoken by Sri Rangapuri, who is a disciple of Sri Madhavendra Puri. And what has happened is that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is on a pilgrimage in various parts of India, South India, East India, West India. He goes to various places. And then he is presently in the South Central Indian town of Pandharpur. There is an ancient temple of Lord Vittala. And in this place, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is residing, and he gets the good news that Sriranga Puri, who is a disciple of Sri Madhavendra Puri, is presently in that town, in another person's home. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu runs ecstatically and falls, he sees Sriranga Puri and just falls in ecstasy at the lotus feet of Sriranga Puri. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, God himself, Krishna himself, falling at the lotus feet of a person that he regards equivalent to his own spiritual master. And while he's on the floor, he's not just officially offering obeisances, Dharannath Pranam Prabhu, not like that. He's actually crying and he's in deep ecstasy at meeting such a personality as Sriranga Puri. So Sriranga Puri raises him and says, upon seeing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in such an ecstatic mood, Sriranga Puri said, "Your Holiness, please get up." And then he says this verse, "Your Holiness is certainly related to Sri Madhavendra Puri, without whom there is no fragrance of ecstatic love." So I want you to remember these words by Sriranga Puri. Your Holiness, please repeat.
Your Holiness.
There is certainly related to Sri Madhavendra Puri, without whom there is no fragrance of ecstatic love. Alright? So I want you to remember this. Madhavendra Puri is the origin of ecstatic love in our Sampradaya. Okay, before that, it was a little bit more staid, let's say, more formal. Okay? Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur remarks that up to the advent of His Holiness Shripad Lakshmipati Tirtha, it was a system in the disciplic succession of Madhvacharya to worship Lord Krishna alone. After Srila Madhavendra Puri, worship of both Radha and Krishna was established. For this reason, Sri Madhavendra Puri is accepted as a root of the worship in ecstatic love. Unless one is connected to the disciplic succession of Madhavendra Puri, there is no possibility of awakening the symptoms of ecstatic love. The word Gosai is significant in this connection. The spiritual master who is fully surrendered unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead and has no business other than the Lord's service is called the best of the Paramahamsas. A Paramahamsa has no program for sense gratification. He is interested only in satisfying the senses of the Lord. One who has control of the senses in this way is called a Gosai or Goswami, master of the senses. The senses cannot be controlled unless one is engaged in the service of the Lord. Therefore, the bona fide spiritual master, who has full control over his senses, engages 24 hours a day in the Lord's service. How many hours? 24 hours a day in the Lord's service. He can therefore be addressed as Gosai or Goswami. The title Goswami cannot be inherited, but can only be given to a bona fide spiritual master. I'll repeat that again. Title Goswami cannot be inherited, but can only be given to a bona fide spiritual master. There were 6 great Goswamis of Vrindavan: Srila Rupa, Sanatan, Bhatta Raghunath, Chijiva, Gopal Bhatta, and Das Raghunath. And none of them inherited the title of Goswami. All the Goswamis of Vrindavan for bona fide spiritual masters situated on the highest platform of devotional service, and for that reason they were called Goswamis. All the temples of renown were certainly started by the 6 Goswamis. Later, the worship in the temples was entrusted to some householder disciples of the Goswamis, and since then the hereditary title of Goswami has been used. However, only one who is a bona fide spiritual master expanding the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Krishna consciousness movement, and who is in full control of his senses can be addressed as a Goswami. Unfortunately, the hereditary process is going on, and therefore at the present moment in most cases the title is being misused due to ignorance of the word's etymology. Okay, etymology means the origin of a word, how a word comes. Okay, so that was the purport by Srila Prabhupada. We read this verse. We looked at the context. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has just met a god brother of his spiritual master and is falling on the floor, expressing his deep respect to this personality. And this personality asked him to get up and said, "From your symptoms, I can tell that you are connected to my spiritual master in some way." Right? So we can detect from the symptoms of a person that where they are coming from, like what is their goal. No, people, Srila Prabhupada said that you can detect a person's consciousness the moment they open their mouth. Right? The moment they start speaking something, then you know what is that person's consciousness, right? It's well known, it's well said that fool remains undetected unless he opens his mouth. Right? The moment he opens his mouth down, you know that this person is a fool. And I should be careful here. Okay. So we looked at what a Goswami is not. Now we can all be very smug. Okay, think that none of us are from the hereditary family of the Goswamis, so we are fine. But that actually can be extended deeper. We cannot just be smug about the fact that we are part of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, ISKCON. Don't you know what ISKCON is? I am part of ISKCON. Right? You can't say, I'm a disciple of so-and-so. Don't you know who my spiritual master is? Who my grand spiritual master, who my grand guru is? My grand guru is Srila Prabhupada. Right? One should be able to detect a person's heritage from their behavior. Right? So for us, what it is not is we cannot just inherit the blessings of Srila Prabhupada or the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan just by officially claiming ourselves, applying a tilak in a certain way, putting on the katimala and saying, okay, I'm a follower of so and so. Okay? So that's very important for us to realize. This purport by Srila Prabhupada is more generic. He's not just pointing fingers at anybody, but he's not mentioning just the caste Goswamis or the caste Brahmins, but he's talking about all of us. Just officially joining ISKCON and officially saying that I'm part of Prabhupada's organization is not sufficient. And if you look at the title of today's class, we're talking about following in the footsteps of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. So there are actually 2 words in Sanskrit which are very close to each other, and one of them is called Anukaranam and the other one is called Anusaranam. Everybody say Anukaranam and Anusaranam. So Anukaranam means imitating someone. Okay? So it's like Prabhupada, is at a certain level of ecstasy, our spiritual masters are at certain levels of ecstasy. And imitating what they are doing, for example. Right? Some spiritual masters, like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, I'm going to chant 64 rounds a day. Okay? So we may not actually have the capacity to do that, but somebody might say, I'm going to chant 64 rounds a day. And they can't actually sustain it. It's very difficult to do such a thing. So Srila Prabhupada gave us a very low number, relatively speaking, 16 rounds a day. Some people cannot even do that, which is fine, they will get there eventually. But we cannot actually imitate someone's higher level of ecstasy. Just like if you say, this man eats 15 rotis, I shall also eat 15 rotis. If you are not capable of eating 15 rotis, you'll get a stomach upset. Right? Isn't that true? If you eat too much. So you cannot. So Anukaranam means imitation. And Anusaranam means following in their footsteps. That means following their instructions. Okay? So which one are we trying to go after? Anukaranam or Anusaranam? Yeah, you have the right instinct. Thank you very much. So we are following in the footsteps. So we are Anusaranam. We are doing as they have asked us to do. But it's a fact that we cannot follow someone who is very advanced. You know that? Like a great scientist begins to speak. Maybe there are audience of 200 people in the room. Maybe 5 people can understand what the fellow is saying. Right? Maybe 20 people actually understand what actually the overall field of that great scientist is. Right? And the rest of the people are just sitting there hoping to understand, but they might get bits and pieces here and there, but it's very difficult. It's the same thing. Whether someone is a top scholar or whether someone is a marathon runner. Someone runs marathons, right, and finishes a marathon in, I don't know what the world record is. Let's say, what's that? 2 hours? 3 hours? 2 hours. Okay, someone runs 42 kilometers in 2 hours. Okay, we can't necessarily follow them without the kind of training that that person has undergone, right? Whether if someone is a top cook, I have my Guru Mata, for example. She can just think about it, and 108 preparations will come out of her kitchen, right? In a few hours, 2 or 3 hours, right? I cannot do that. Right? It's not possible for me to do that. Whether someone is a top scholar, top cook, top, whatever they are, we cannot just without training or without preparation of ourselves, we cannot actually follow them either. So, whether someone is a top businessman, makes a phone call and says, okay, $19 million, that's the deal size. Okay, I can't make a deal for $19 million. It's really hard to make a deal like that. Somebody cannot even make a deal for $19,000. Somebody cannot even make a deal for $1,900 or $190, right? The zeros are different depending on the capacity of the person to make a deal. Okay, so similarly, in this song that we just sang together, right? Vande Rupa Sanatana, wherever you go, Sijiva Gopalako. There were lots of descriptions of the ecstasies of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. That stuff is difficult for a person on the sadhana bhakti platform to achieve. And anybody who's claiming that kind of stuff, you have to say, are they manifesting all the symptoms of the Goswamis? In other words, are they dressed in loincloth, tattered clothes, or are they, are they luxury loving person, for example? A person who has full devotional service is practically a madman in the world. They cannot actually function in society. It's impossible for them. So there are only some things of the 6 Goswamis that we can follow in our present situation, and the others we can aspire for one day, maybe one life, maybe even this life, but it can not definitely, where we are today. Okay, but we can definitely follow in their footsteps by doing how they instruct by their personal example. By their personal example means a person who is a pure devotee of Krishna, for example, does not really have, for example, let's say a person is a great mathematician, okay, and they have come up with theorems like anything, they just in their sleep. Like there was a great mathematician named Ramanujan. He would dream up a theorem at night, and he would wake up in the morning and he would write down his theorem. Now, I don't go to sleep and come up with a theorem in my sleep, okay? It doesn't happen. But for such a mathematician, it's not necessary for them to really practice anything much. Like they're already there, they've already reached a certain point. But even so, a great Acharya like Srila Prabhupada still chanted on his beads, even though he did not need to. So, we are meant to follow that, right? We are meant to follow that. We are not meant to necessarily speak exactly like Srila Prabhupada did. Srila Prabhupada was heavy sometimes, He was very strict sometimes because he was very straight. He knew he had very limited time. So when he was speaking to someone, he was like giving the full dose of what the deepest possible Krishna consciousness. We cannot necessarily imitate the way he behaved with everybody, right? Because that's not our level. But he chanted on his beads, and we chant on our beads as well, right? So we do that. So yes, we'll go to the song that we just looked at, right? And we'll go through a few points on what we can follow, and what is currently beyond our reach, right? And what is the result of us following in the footsteps of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, okay? So we should look at that song again, okay, so that everybody knows these words that I'm referring to. Please sing this song, it's just an amazing one. Okay, so, it will come up. But it starts with Krishna Kirtana Gana Nartana Paro, correct? So Krishna Utkirtana. Utkirtana means loudly chanting the names of Krishna. And this is an important thing. Krishna Utkirtana, Gana, Nartana. So singing, it might seem awkward that we, get into a room and then we break out into song, right? Seems a little bit awkward because our world is very, very dull and very stereotypical, and we don't actually sing at work, for example. Like we don't sing at a supermarket. Like we're very, very formal and very, very non-musical, right? In many, many ways. We don't dance, like we walk straight. And if somebody is dancing around, you think they're mad, right? It's a fact in our world, right? But in the process of devotional service, Krishna Utkirtana, loudly chanting, Gana, loudly singing, and dancing, which we will do a little bit later, right after the class, before Prasad. No dancing, no Prasad. No, not okay. No, just kidding. So when this singing and dancing, people might think is sentimental. What does spiritual life have to do with these people jumping up and down like elephants in the room? Like what is going on here? Right? Actually, it has great significance because we are engaging all of our senses in the service of Krishna, and it doesn't remain just an intellectual concept. Because when something is an intellectual concept, you say this, you nod your head, and then you go home, but the consciousness remains unchanged. You go back to whatever you were thinking about, right? So that's why this is very important. This is very important for you, for us, for all of us, to imbibe that is singing and dancing and loudly chanting is not some sentimental thing, but it's actually the process recommended by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for spiritual advancement. And anyone who just tries it, when I first came to the temple in 2004, 2005, Sarvaprana Prabhu, who is one of the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, he had a stroke many years ago. So half of his body doesn't function very well. He doesn't have a lot of vocabulary either. But one hand works. Which is the left hand? The left hand works. So with the left hand, he points at people and says, come, come. That's all he can do with his hand, right? The other hand is kind of non-functional, right? You. That's what he does. And then you can see it in his expression that this person really wants me to come and join them. And then, like the awkward first-timers, the Hare Krishna temple, you kind of, make a few steps here and there. But eventually, gradually, you kind of get into it. And it results in great spiritual advancement. That we can do. The next thing we can do is Dhira Dhira Jana Priyo Priya Karo. So what that means is Dhira means somebody who is Dhira, who is sober. Right? Dhira. Adhira means somebody who is crazy. Right? So Priyo Priya Karo, which means that a person who is dear to the sober person and the fools. It's very difficult to be like that. Right? It's possible for you to be dear to the fools. We can see that all around us. So many people dear to the fools. And you can also be dear to the sober people. But it's very difficult to be that person who is dear to both the sober people and the fools, both. So that should be our behavior. Like Bhaktivinoda Swami Maharaj often says, preach. Like he repeats Saint Francis of Assisi, who said, preach, speak if you have to. And which means that always, exhibit a kind of behavior that actually inspires others. Right? It's very difficult actually to do that. The closer someone is, the harder it is. Right? But this is something that the six Goswamis of Vrindavan perfected. Like they would talk to somebody and they'd be discussing, how many calves did your cow give birth to so far? And what do they have interest in all of this? But they were still talking about these kinds of subject matters with the person who is interested in this. So, Sadharma Samsthapakau. So, even though the six Goswamis of Vrindavan established the principles of religion by looking at all the various scriptures, Nana Shastra Vicharane Nipuno, Sadharma Samsthapakau, they looked at all the various scriptures and they established what is the right religious principles for a human being to follow. We may not have the capacity to do that. However, what we can definitely do. How much time do I have, by the way?
Till 6.
Till 6. Okay, so we have some time. Good. I'm not running out of time. So what we have here is we are all bearers of influence within our own circles. Our circles include our families, our colleagues, the people who look up to us, for example. Everybody has a circle, And within that circle, we are meant to be that Sadharma Samsthapako, which means that Yadyad Acharti Shreshthas Tatta Deve Torajana Sayat Pramanam Kurute Lokas Tadanavartite. Whatever a great person does, everybody else follows. So, to the people who are around you in your circle, you are the great person. You are the leader. If you are a parent, then you are the leader. If you are a teacher, you are the leader. If you are a boss of anybody, you are the leader. Right? Regardless of, you are the leader of many people. Even without externally striving to be one, Krishna has naturally put you into that situation. There are people younger to you. You may not be a parent, but there are people younger to you who look up to you, who think you're really, really cool. Right? So you are a leader. So for you, do the Sadharma Samsthapako is the way for all of us to have a transformative, positive effect in society. And it's very important. This we learn from the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. The 6 Goswamis, who are they? They are Rupa, Sanatan, Raghunath Bhatta, Raghunath Das, and Jiva and Gopal Bhatta. So Rupa and Sanatan were actually born in Brahmin families, but at that point in time, they were somehow attracted to employment under a Muslim king. They became the ministers of a Muslim king, right? And you know that, you work for someone, you kind of become like them, right? So they actually practically almost changed their tradition. They had Muslim names, Sakar Malik and Dabir Khas, right? They were practically speaking, practically converted to the Islamic tradition, but inside, their Krishna consciousness is very, very strong. Externally, they were ministers wearing, the outfit that a minister of a Muslim king wears and so on, following all of the customs of these, like us, for example. We go out of here, we put on our suits, and we put on our whatever, jeans, jackets, whatever it is that we do, correct? Because we kind of adopt the way of life of the people who employ us or give us business or whatever it is that we do, correct? So similar to that, they also had adopted that. But still, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, come here, they dropped everything and they came here. Right? That's the thing. So when Krishna says, come here, we come here. Right? So we come to ISKCON Oakville, right? When Krishna says, come here, we come here. Right? So the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, very aristocratic. Raghunath Das Goswami was so rich. His parents, his father and uncle were so rich that practically speaking, he could not spend his monthly income even in an entire lifetime. That's how much money they had, right? So many of us are not from that kind of background, but this was the standard of their wealth. Gopal Bhatta Goswami was the son of Venkata Bhatta and Srirangam. He was a Sri Vaishnava, and he was a very highly elevated person. Like, he had a lot of status in Srirangam. When the Lord said, come here, he came here. They went to Vrindavan. Right? So the 6 Goswamis of now, very great people. Right? They are not meant to be deserving of wearing a loincloth and carrying around a tattered blanket. Right? That's not their status. They are capable of great wealth, great education, great erudition, great power. All of this was there in their life, but they essentially gave it up so that they can give Krishna consciousness to others. Now, we are not meant to do that. Nobody is asking us to wear tattered clothes here, right, in ISKCON, but we are meant to realize that these people are very great and they have given up what they had because they got something greater. Right? You have a child, like we had 2 children in the home yesterday, little ones, 1 year and 3 years old, and you cannot take something away from a child. Can you? Right? Big siren, isn't it? The moment you take something away. Right? But you can give a child something that the child perceives as being better. So for example, if the child has a little yellow car, you can take away the yellow car if you give them a big blue truck. Right? It feels better. A small ball, you can say, big ball, look at this. Take this, okay, take the small ball away, right? You can do that, those kinds of things, different activities. That's what we do with children, right? We cannot stop them from doing what they're doing, we redirect them. This is the same for us also. Right? Small house, big house. Old car, new car. Small job, big job. Correct? All of us. So, if the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan were ministers and kings and such great, amazing personalities in society, and they put on a loincloth and went and stayed in Vrindavan as beggars, Srila Prabhupada says, do you think that they did not get something better and bigger? That they went just for nothing, right? So Srila Prabhupada took sannyas, for example. Srila Prabhupada was a businessman, right? A very powerful person in many ways. But he also took sannyas. Sannyas means becoming a beggar, right? But Srila Prabhupada said, do you think that we have given up something better for something worse? Like, is somebody that fool? Right? So there's actually a great deal of wealth inside a spiritual life that is difficult to understand unless we actually come into it. Okay? Then Lokanam hitakarinam. Always act for the benefit of society in general. Right? Act for that. Lokanam hitakarinam. This is very important. Shri Gauranga Gunanu Varnano Vidhau. So recounting the qualities of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like we just did in the Chaitanya Charitamrita now. So that is an important aspect of our own purification, because whatever we appreciates, in us. Right? So for example, if I go and appreciate the bad behavior of somebody, I'll be inspired to behave like that person. But if I appreciate the good behavior of somebody, then I'll be inspired to adopt that particular good behavior. So chanting the qualities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by singing the various songs, etc., that we sing, is actually the way for us to acquire those good qualities. And then Shraddha Samriddhan Mitau, which means that they had deep faith, and that faith was strengthened with their daily practices. Govinda Ganamritai. So recounting the good qualities of Krishna, the pastimes of Sri Krishna, the activities of Sri Krishna, all of these different things. I'm sorry, it's a little distracting here, but we are trying to do everything in one room. Normally there's an altar, and all of this happens behind closed doors, so everybody is not distracted by everything that's going on, but they are doing a service to Krishna. Please bear with them, bear with us. Okay, so Govinda Ganamrita means that's what we do in the International Society of Krishna Consciousness. We constantly try to hear and chant about Krishna. Hear and chant about who? Not the stock market, not the sports match, not the news, not politics, right? There's plenty of that outside. Isn't that true? Is there any shortage? Like 999 channels, right? How many channels on your television? Right? All those channels of television are not discussing anything related to Krishna. Only here and in this society and in this community, essentially, we get to do Govinda Ganamrita. Okay? So, so we talked about this Tyakva Tulam Ashesha Mandalapati Shrenim, which was, they actually gave up the association, aristocratic association, as being very, very tuchak, as being very petty, as being very unworthy, right? In this world, many of us may be hankering for that kind of association of some great professor, the association of some great business person, actor, right? Some different kinds of materialistic opulence. We'll be hankering for those kinds of persons, right? But we should understand that this association only keeps us bound to the repeated cycle of birth and death. It doesn't actually let us go out of this particular cycle. Birth, death, old age and disease. And even though it may appear attractive right now, it actually doesn't lead anywhere. It's like stairs to nowhere, that's what it is. You climb up the ladder and you go up there, it's just a fall down, right? There's nothing beyond that. And I have personal experience of this. So, the next verse, fifth verse, Radha Krishnam Ahar Nisham Prabhajatav, which means that constantly engage in the chanting about Radha Krishna, chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. This chanting is called Prabhajatav, right? Of course, there's different qualities of chanting we can aspire to, but that is the process for us to advance spiritually. Then in the next verse, in the sixth verse, for example, it talks about a very special thing. Sankhya Purvaka Namagana Natibhi. Sankhya Purvaka Namagana Natibhi means there were scheduled measurements, like they had vows that said, I will offer obeisances 1,000 times. I will chant a minimum of 64 rounds. Right? I will read this scripture for X amount of time. right? Sanatana Goswami had a vow where he would do Govardhan Parikrama every day, right? Sometimes multiple times a day, right? So that was his vow. He would do that even when he was an old man. He was doing that until he became so old that Krishna manifested to him in the form of a Shila and said, you offer your circumambulation to this little Shila. It's there in the Radha Damodar temple. You can see that. So Sankhya Purvaka. So numerical strength is really, really important. We say 16 rounds, right? We say the 4 regulative principles. We say, learn these verses. We say perform these particular activities. We say distribute X number of books per year. Go out X number of times. Perform 6 aartis a day at the temple, for example. We have these numerical values, even though devotional service is beyond these kinds of numerical values. We have these because numerical value, numerical strength actually is a manifestation of love. Right? It's like if you love your child, you'll make sure they get at least 3 meals a day. Isn't that true? Isn't that a numerical thing? Oh, you don't love your child? You're saying 3 meals a day? No. The parent will be willing to feed 5 or 6 meals if the child needs it. But you say, if they are not having the 3 meals a day, then that means they must be sick. Something is wrong with them. Right? So this numerical strength is actually an expression of love. So when we commit to someone, right? Sure, many spiritual masters give this example, right? A boy meets a girl and the boy says, I love you, I love you, I love you. The girl says, I love you, I love you, I love you. Right? But after they get together, if the boy doesn't actually do something, the girl doesn't actually do something, where's the love? What's the love about? Right? I love you, but I want to sleep in. That's not love, isn't it? Love means that the person gets up, even though it's difficult to get up in the morning. Love means the person does something that is uncomfortable, like going out to some crazy office somewhere and just to earn a livelihood, right? So that is love actually. So numerical strength actually indicates a love. This is very important for us. Sankhya Purvaka Nama Dana Tibhi. They would sing a certain number of bhajans. So we should all have this. I'm going to chant this, I'm going to sing this. This is my program for the day, right? This is my minimum. And then we keep on increasing our minimum. So if we do that, then Radha Krishna Guna Smriter Madhurimanandena Sammohito. If we do Sankhya Purvaka Nama Gana Tibhi, then we get Radha Krishna Guna Smriter Madhurimanandena Sammohito. Then we get the remembrance, what would I call it? The unforced remembrance of Krishna. That will come if we have the Sankhya Purvaka Nama Gana Tibhi, right? Otherwise it doesn't come. It's very difficult to remember Krishna. You look at your whole day and try to see how many times I remembered Krishna during my day. You will find that it's a very low number, if it's a number beyond 0, right? So it's a very difficult thing, but it comes. Gayanta Uchakada Harer Gunavaram Bhava. So if we are there, 7 and 8 are actually both very they are actually talking about Radha. They are actually talking about the madness of the pure devotion, which is kind of a little bit beyond us. Okay, but the singing and the dancing and the ecstasy of devotional service actually comes if we follow in those footsteps. What does it mean for us? What does all of this mean for us? It means that we recognize that the process that Srila Prabhupada has given us, we are known as Prabhupada-nugas, followers of Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada is a Rupanuga, follower of Srila Rupa Goswami. So therefore, we are also Rupanugas if we follow Srila Prabhupada's instructions. So if we just follow his system, chanting like 16 is our minimum, but there will come a day when you feel that 16 is too less, and you will want to increase it. Personally, nobody will have to force you to do it, but there will come a day when you will be like, 16 is too less, I've got to do more. Right? And similarly, following the regulative principles, in the beginning might be a little bit difficult. Oh, I can't touch this, it's an intoxicant. But eventually, you won't have any taste left for this kind of stuff. Like it's a very higher thing that is to be experienced. So when we do our services, they say, oh, it's annoying, it's like -9, and I've got to go and set up the camera at ISKCON Oakville. It might sound difficult, right? Initially, but later on, it becomes so exciting that you will say no to all of your best friends and say, if you want to see me, come to ISKCON Oakville on a Sunday evening, right? And then people are like, this person has gone crazy. We can't be with them anymore. right? Isn't that true? Right? So it happens that people, in the beginning, it might feel like a little bit of a drag, but then you develop a certain taste, and you would never be any other place when a gathering is taking place, right? Where people are singing and chanting. So it starts with Srila Prabhupada's process, like observing Mangalarti every day. Even the Mangalarti is not at 4:30 like it is in the temple. To still have observing Mangalarti every day. Taking only Krishna Prasad, making a vow that I will not eat anything that has not been cooked for Krishna. It's a difficult thing to do in the beginning, but Krishna makes it very easy, right? I don't have to worry about. Krishna has made arrangements. And all the devotees around me, my wife especially, takes that very seriously. So, and working to expand the Krishna consciousness movement in our own way, whether it's small or big, doesn't matter. But everyone, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has made everyone in charge of expanding the Krishna consciousness movement. So if we do this much, we are guaranteed to be able to follow in the footsteps of the six Goswamis of Vrindavan. So I'll do a quick recap for a minute or so. Okay. Welcome all the Sunday school saints. Thank you. So what a Goswami is not, is what we looked at. It's not something that is inherited. Your father might be a Goswami, your grandfather might be a Goswami, but it doesn't make you a Goswami. Right? Your father might be a disciple. Right? Your spiritual master may be a servant of Srila Prabhupada. That does not make us automatically a servant of Srila Prabhupada unless we actually serve. We looked at that. We looked at following versus imitating. Right? Today we looked at that. We looked at the profiles very briefly of the six Goswamis of Vrindavan. Right? We talked about how ecstasy cannot be imitated or really unnaturally try to get it. We saw how we cannot follow someone great, whether it's a great scholar, a great business person, great actor. We cannot just follow them. We can't emote like an actor, for example. We saw all that. And then we looked at how we can follow in their footsteps. We looked at this verse that we sang, Krishna Kirtana Gana Nartana. It's called the Shad Goswami Ashtakam. It's a very important song. And we then saw what it means for us, how we can follow. Okay? So we have a little bit of time for questions. I see that there is still some time. The knowledge that we hear here at ISKCON Oakville becomes yours if you try to apply it to your own situation. Until then, it kind of remains theoretical. So if you have any questions or anything that might help you to apply what you heard today, or if you have any doubts or any questions, challenges, please let me know and I'll try to help clear that up. Questions? Yes?
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
I was just appreciating the systematic approach to devotional service.
You are appreciating, I'll repeat it in the mic so everybody can hear. I was just, Aruna Keshavi here is saying she was appreciating the systematic approach to devotional service.
And I was just thinking that it's like with anything else in life, you cannot go to the end result without having to apply yourself step by step and strengthening yourself at each level before you can move to the next.
She was saying that just like with anything else in life, you cannot reach the end result without applying yourself step by step and then reaching the end result.
Yes, and also like strengthening.
And
making sure
strengthening.
that you're on proper footing before you can take the next step.
Make sure that you're on proper footing at a certain level before you can take the next step.
So I was thinking that.
That's a great comment. That's a great realization too. It's really important. Like, how is it that we expect it takes us 21 years of education to earn a livelihood and you want to be a pure devotee in 3 months or less? Right? Without even maybe putting in any effort. How?
Part-time course.
Huh?
Part-time course.
Part-time course. That's a great.
Executive MBA
we
kind
don't
of
accept that.
like.
So thank you very much. Thank you for that comment. Anything else that we have? We still have a few more minutes. Anybody?
Yeah.
We have this gentleman here.
Prabhu, thank you for this. This was a very pragmatic class that I've seen. And I second what Mataji has to say that, this is a step.
What's your name, Arun?
I'm Vikas.
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 Vikas is saying that he seconds what Aruna Keshri was just saying, and
Yeah, my question is, there are two questions that I
two
have.
questions.
One is, so with us being where we are right now, like, in Canada.
With us
the
being
mar-
where we are right now.
Like I probably think they can hear me, so like.
No, there are
understand.
people also online.
Oh, okay.
So there are two cameras here.
Okay. So the question I have is like, there are two parts, right? Like, I'm trying to understand how do you overcome the path of resistance, especially with friends and family, where they're like, oh, बड़ा भगवत बन के, घूम रहा है, right? Like, so you need to want to break that, right? Because I know for sure that this is my path, and like, it's better even if they come in, right? Like, so that is one. So sometimes I feel.
Let me repeat this for all the online audience. So Vikas here is saying, how do you break the path of resistance where friends, family members, etc. said, बड़ा भागवत भक्त बन गया है, which means that he's doing too much devotional service and doesn't have time for all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to, but sometimes I also myself feel like, oh, when I don't, I'm not.
Yes, Vikas, sorry.
Sometimes I myself feel
You have to
like,
keep it short because we're running out of
yeah.
time.
So basically, I just want to see how to bridge that gap with my friends and family. And one is I want to convince myself that I'm actually where somebody else can follow.
Okay.
They don't have to follow me, but at least I know for sure that I'm on the right path. So.
Yes, you are on the right path. Everybody has their own trajectory and you cannot force it. When we are attached to some people, especially our family members and our friends, etc., then we feel that we want to take them along with us, but they may not be ready to come along. So you can't force anybody. Krishna did not force anybody, right? He said, what do you want to do, right? Whatever you vibrishaita asheshena ithechasi tatapurva. Which means you think about everything that I have told you and do as you wish, right? And then Arjuna, by his free will, said, Karishya vachanam prava, I will do as you say. Right? So it's sometimes difficult for that. But what is important is for us to remember that in this world, every single living entity that we come across is actually family. If you think about it, you have been here for how many lives? 1 life, 2 lives, 10 lives, millions and billions and trillions of lives, right? Who was your father in the last lifetime? Who was your mother? Who was your best friend? Who was your child? Who was your colleague? Right? Srila Prabhupada and the Acharyas say that actually every single ant that you see, every single weed that you see might have been a family member in a previous lifetime. You don't know, right? Not that we don't know, but we have to say by logic, if I have lived billions of lifetimes, then I have had billions of family members, billions of friends, billions of colleagues, billions, right? So in other words, our present set of people that we are with is only due to some karmic debts. I owe something to somebody, somebody owes something to me. That's why they are with us. Right? When the debts are paid off, we are gone. Right? Have you met your school friends ever? Some school friends? Right? You are with them. You can't live without them, isn't it? And then 20 years later, where are they and where are you? Right? Happens, isn't it? You have had that experience, others have had this experience. So what I'm trying to say is, don't think that your world is restricted to who you are with today. Right? So Krishna, in Krishna consciousness, you will experience that all of our needs, all of our hankerings for the deepest kinds of relationships will be fulfilled by Krishna in ways that we cannot imagine today. Srila Prabhupada said, I had 3 sons, or 4 sons, I don't know, 3 sons, daughters, right? Now I have 5,000. Right? So the fact of the matter is that we get these relationships. So what we should do is, we should keep going and continuing our process for devotional service without trying to force people, because that turns them away. I have done it myself, especially when you're new in devotional service. You're like super heavy, like, slapping people left and right with verses and telling them, you have to do this. But that's just a function of our attachment. So pause that and find out who wants to listen to your message and give it to them. Okay? And if you do that, you will see that you don't face as much resistance, because like you can find different kinds of compromise. Hey, on Sunday night I'm unavailable. I'm going to that program. But Friday afternoon we can do this. By the way, I don't drink alcohol anymore. I can drink a soft drink. You can drink alcohol if you like. Sometimes it becomes difficult to sit with a person who is drunk. But unless you yourself are drunk. But it works out. Sometimes people just fall off. Like we had some really good friends, and they saw me on the street chanting Harinam and pretended not to see me. So I now know that okay, this person doesn't really want to be with me as I am right now. So we move on, right? They are not. I'm not any less because they are not with me. Make sense, guys? So Krishna will fulfill all your needs. You just stay on the path very steadily without getting impatient with anybody else. Okay? Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki Hare Krishna. By the way, if you could not ask a question because there was no time, or because I spoke for too long, or because you were too shy, you also email me your question, das@dasadas.com, das@dasadas.com, and I'll do my best to answer your questions. That's what I do basically. People think I'm working as a CTO, but I'm answering all these questions. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. It was a wonderful class, as well as that Kirtan was so nice. It was so enriching. So moving forward, I request you all to stand up for the closing Kirtan.
Namaste Saraswati Gauravani Pujari Krishna Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Krishna Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare
জয় নিত্যলীলা প্রদিষ্ট ওম বিষ্ণুপাদ পরমহংস পরিব্রাজক আচার্য অষ্টোত্তর শত শ্রীমদ হিজ ডিভাইন গ্রেস শিলা এসি ভক্তি সিদ্ধান্ত স্বামী মহারাজ প্রভুপাদ কি জয়। জয় ওম বিষ্ণুপাদ পরমহংস পরিব্রাজক আচার্য অষ্টোত্তর শত শ্রীমদ ভক্তি সিদ্ধান্ত সরস্বতী গোস্বামী মহারাজ প্রভুপাদ কি জয়। অনন্ত কোটি বৈষ্ণব বৃন্দ কি জয়। নামাচার্য হরিদাস ঠাকুর কি জয়। ইসকন ফাউন্ডার আচার্য শিলা প্রভুপাদ কি প্রেমশেখ শ্রীকৃষ্ণ চৈতন্য প্রভু নিত্যানন্দ জয় অদ্বৈত গদাধর শ্রীবাসাদি গৌর ভক্ত বৃন্দ কি জয়। শ্রী শ্রী রাধা কৃষ্ণ গোপীনাথ শ্যামকুণ্ড রাধাকুণ্ড গিরি গোবর্ধন কি জয়। বৃন্দাবন ধাম কি জয়। মথুরা ধাম কি জয়। নবদ্বীপ ধাম কি জয়। জগন্নাথপুরী ধাম কি জয়। অযোধ্যা ধাম কি জয়। গঙ্গা মায়ে কি জয়। যমুনা মায়ে কি জয়। তুলসী দেবী কি জয়। ভক্তি দেবী কি জয়। সংকীর্তন যজ্ঞ কি জয়। সমবেত ভক্তবৃন্দ কি গৌর প্রেমানন্দে হরি হরি বল। All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So the next will be Prasadam prayers. I request all the kids to come to the front. All kids to the front.
गोविन्दे नमो ब्राह्मणे वैष्णवे सर्वपुण्यप्रदं पुष्पसमुद्राय Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Mahaprasad ki jai. Hare Krishna. I request all devotees to take as much as they can have because it's offense to waste the prasad. And also we thank all the volunteers who have took the prasad for us today. And as you all know, for this week we don't have a sponsor, but as you all know, ISKCON Oakville runs on sponsorship, and this facility is rented from Aikita Yoga Studio. I request you, if anybody is interested to sponsor for the next week's program, you can reach out to Panchami Mataji or Priyanka Mataji, and they can guide you with the process. Hare Krishna. The altar will be open for next 5 minutes. If anybody wants to take a darshan, please come forward, and after that we will close the altar. Hare Krishna.